Welcome to the second video on overnight troop readiness. In this video, we will review all of the various policies that are in place when traveling. We'll also discuss handling behavior for girls on an overnight and working with additional adults going with you. Traveling with your troop can be an integral and rewarding part of your Girl Scout program. There are considerations that need to be taken into account for all trips, no matter what the duration and distances, and specific items that apply to more involved trips. To keep the girls safe and keep everyone involved informed, certain Girl Scouts of Eastern Iowa and Western Illinois policies must be looked at. Let's take a brief look at each of these topics. What is the definition of a trip in Girl Scouting? A trip is an expedition involving travel that occurs at a different time than your regular meeting. Let's look at the trip organization and planning. We've talked about brainstorming with girls for what to do and where to go, and have determined all the specifics, dates, times, etc. Now we need to make sure all council guidelines are followed. Have a meeting with the girls and maybe even the parents, depending on the size of the trip, to discuss and prepare for the outings. And keep the parents informed. Girls should be active, registered Girl Scouts who have experienced, or at least starting to experience, a progression of events and trips, as described at the beginning of the Volunteer Essentials Appendix for travel volunteers. Adults must be positive role models at all times. One adult accompanying the girls must be over 21 years of age. Adult-to-girl ratios must be followed. Again, see Volunteer Essentials. And overnight, extended trip, and camping require additional training. Registered Girl Scouts, both adults and girls, are covered by Girl Scout activity insurance for Girl Scout activities involving 2 nights or less. If a non-member, such as an additional parent or sibling, attends a Girl Scout activity, additional insurance must be purchased for the non-members. This plan covers injuries from accidents only and does not include illness. To purchase the additional insurance, usually never more than $5, this form, the Accident Insurance Enrollment Form, is needed. It can be found on our website under Forms. If an event lasts longer than 2 nights, additional insurance must be purchased for all attendees, both members and non-members alike. Contact the Finance Department for more information. If you find while budgeting for your trip that you need additional funds, GSEIWA policy states that you must get permission to raise additional funds. That request can be made through the Fund Development Office using the Group Money Earning Project application form. They can also help you with money earning project ideas. The application must be turned in 6 weeks prior to your money earning project date. Transportation and drivers need to be part of your checklist. If using other drivers besides the leader and co-leader, make sure of the following. Make a copy of the driver's licenses and their insurance policy. You want to make sure everyone driving has a valid license and has insurance coverage on their car. And bring it with you on your trip. Girls, even if they are 16, cannot drive other girls. They must be 21 years or older to drive girls on a Girl Scout trip. Check ratios for the number of girls and adults needed for a trip. And remember to have enough seat belts for everyone, and follow laws for car seats for any state you will be driving through. All of this information can be found in the Volunteer Essentials under Travel. Although you hope the worst never happens, you must observe council procedures for handling accidents and fatalities. At the scene of an accident, first provide all possible care for the sick or injured person. Contact emergency personnel as needed, and immediately report the emergency to the council office. To do this, You must always have on hand the names and telephone numbers of council staff, parents, guardians, and emergency services, such as the police, fire department, and hospital emergency technicians. If a fatality, get help, but leave someone at the scene as to not disturb the surroundings. Notify the council office by calling the emergency number. They will provide additional assistance as needed. Also, do not give out information to the media. Let the CEO or designee handle them. 24 hours after the emergency is over and the child or adult is being cared for, the accident report form needs to be filled out and sent to the finance department. This form not only keeps the council up to date on what has transpired, but also activates the accident insurance policy coverage that we have on all our members. The form can be found on our website, or you can print it from the end of this training. Additional information on handling accidents or illnesses can be found in GSCIWI Volunteer Essentials Chapter Safety-Wise. All contracts entered into in the name of Girl Scouts of Eastern Iowa and Western Illinois must be signed by a designated person at any of the Girl Scout Leadership Centers. This covers all contracts, regardless of whether a fee is involved. This would include car rentals, transportation companies, travel companies, and the like. Additional things to remember. A general first aid kit should be available at your meetings place and accompany the girls on any activity, including transportation to and from an event. In addition to the standard materials, all first aid kits should contain a copy of a recognized first aid book and the council emergency phone numbers. Parent consent forms and health histories should also be included. Most safety activity checkpoints require a certified first aider to be present, someone trained in first aid and CPR. So always check safety activity checkpoints when traveling. For a listing of approved instructors, see page 81 of Volunteer Essentials. Girl Scouts adults to girls ratios shows the minimum number of adults needed to supervise a specific number of girls. These supervision ratios were devised to ensure the safety and health of girls. For example, if one adult has to respond to an emergency, a second adult is always on hand for the rest of the girls. The left side of the chart is for group meetings, like regular troop meetings. The right side, which is the events, travel, and camping side, you can see how many adults are needed when you are meeting away from your troop meeting location. This chart can be found in the number of our publications, including Volunteer Essentials and the New Leader's Guide to Success. Make sure you check Girl Scouts safety activity checkpoints to make sure the activities you have planned are safe. They can be found as a document on our website under Volunteer, then Resources. Let's take a look at what safety activity checkpoints looks like. I've chosen outdoor cooking as an example. As you look on the first page, you will see an explanation of what cooking over an open flame is about. As you scroll down, it will give you advice for preparing for the activity, precautions you need to take, what to consider on the day of, tips for cooking over an open flame, and tips for safe food preparation and storage. As you continue to scroll, you will see information about water purification and how to wash up after cooking, and finally, some safety gear to bring with you. When planning a trip and coming up with ideas of what you want to do, find this document and review all the activities that you have coming up, so all will be safe. Here are some additional things to remember when in an unfamiliar location. Develop and review emergency procedures before and during your trip. Have a map of the city and or a floor plan of where you will be staying to be familiar with all the areas. Make sure everyone you know knows where the emergency exits are. Have a plan for what to do if you have a weather emergency, where to go if a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning is made, and make sure the girls know as well. There are some specific things you and the girls can do for safety while in a hotel. Make sure that all rooms are securely locked, which means using the deadbolt and chain. Never open the door to a stranger. Look through the peephole first to see who it is, then ask who it is if not recognizable. Then checking with the front desk if they are sending someone up and calling for an adult to come to your room are things to do before opening the door. Make sure girls are not sharing their room numbers loudly, especially if in the lobby or hallway, to ensure that other visitors don't hear and try to come to their rooms. It is never safe to leave valuables in the room, which includes money, computers, etc. They should be taken with you, left in the safe, or not taken with them in the first place. You should never leave your luggage unattended. They can be stolen or personal information may be on them. If you must leave them, have someone else you know watching them, or leave with the concierge desk. Make sure everyone you are traveling with knows where the emergency exits are, and also what to do and where to go in case of a fire. All these instructions can be found on the hotel room door. Remember, hotel swimming pools seldom have lifeguards present, and you must have a lifeguard secured before the girls can swim. Another consideration is if you're bringing food and how it will be refrigerated. As you prepare for sleeping arrangements, remember each participant has her own bed, or parent and guardians have given permission for the girls to share. Adults and girls never share a bed. If adults and girls are sharing the same sleeping area, there must be 2 unrelated female adults present and a designated area assigned to each. Make sure there are separate sleeping and bathroom arrangements for any adult male that will be traveling with you. And at no time can a male enter girls' sleeping or restroom areas. When traveling outside the United States, approval must be obtained before planning begins. Then periodic progress reports regarding plans and finances will be required by the Council as well. Leaders should have knowledge of the Girl Scout program and should be well acquainted with the girls in the group. Approval of special group activities like this is required to ensure the safety of the girls, adequate insurance, and compliance with GSUSA and GSEIWI program standards. Appropriate approvals must be obtained before finalizing plans, and they encourage the girls to submit much of this information themselves. And don't forget, applying for a passport takes time. Plan on at least 6 months in advance. Immunizations also need to be up to date and determine if the country or countries you're traveling to have any other specific health requirements. More information can be found in your participant handouts, and additional training on international travel must be taken. In preparation for a group outing or trip, the girls will work together to plan activities, develop a budget, and decide other details of the outing. It is also very important that they learn to work as a team. Encourage the girls to work together in small groups to plan the various details of the outings. Point out that this will encourage everyone to get the job done. The development of behavior expectations is an important step in the planning process. Involving girls in the development of guidelines and the consequences for breaking the guidelines will aid in the girls' buy-in of these guidelines. Often groups will utilize a code of conduct to define the guidelines and to communicate these guidelines to the parents. Here are 2 forms that are good to be reviewed by the girls and the adults that give them guidelines for behavior and/or responsibility while being in a vehicle. Have them sign it so you know everyone has read it. There is also another form that can be reviewed by the girls on basic behavior when participating on an overnight or other trip. It covers living by the Girl Scout laws, being sensitive to the needs and feeling of others, being responsible for her own health and well-being, listening to instructions, contributing to conversations and sharing in responsibilities, responsibility for the equipment that can be used, responsible for her own personal belongings, and that if rules are broken, she should be sent home at her parents' expense. This code of conduct can take the place of a group agreement. Let's look at supervising the girls. Adults accompanying a group should be chosen for their patience, flexibility, and good judgment. They need to understand their responsibilities during the troop. That the group leader should explain these roles and the expectations before the trip. They should understand the plans the girls have made for the trip. Adults should understand the safety systems for the trip and the buddy system that the girls have learned. And if they're drivers, they need to know the transportation requirements that are in volunteer essentials, have a clean driving record, carry personal insurance, and review and sign the safety driver pledge. Last thing, they need to know the emergency procedures for the site as well as for during travel to and from the site. And what does supervision mean? It's encouraging girls to try new things and not just doing it for them. It's watching, guiding, and directing them to help safeguard against any injuries. It's being a role model by their actions. It's taking full responsibility for an activity or group of girls when asked. It's providing effective discipline when needed, but remember, criticize the behavior, not the child. And supervision means knowing where girls are at all times and also being easily located if girls need them. And treating all girls equally, not just caring for their own child. Here are some scenarios of circumstances that might happen when dealing with girls on an overnight trip. Think about what your answer would be, just off the cuff. Take these back to your adult team and have a conversation so all adults attending the overnight are on the same page. These scenarios and more can be found in the Overnight Troop Readiness handout. You have completed the second video to complete Overnight Troop Readiness. Have any questions? Please contact us at info@girlscoutstoday.org. We would be happy to answer any questions you may have. Don't forget to answer the knowledge check questions that can be found below this training video on our website. Once you have completed the knowledge check, you will be given credit for this training.